It gives the people of Guam, I think not just the taxpayers, but the people of Guam some expectations that the tax code is going to be administered fairly and efficiently.
Attorney Ike Agaghi helped win the case against GovGuam, forcing GovGuam to implement a more timely and more fair manner for the distribution of tax refunds. And he and the Guam Attorney General's office have been ordered to craft a permanent injunction now for submission to the court by September 21st. What form will that permanent injunction take? What timeline will be set in it? Agaghi said that will be the subject of the negotiations with GovGuam attorneys, but the IRS code itself suggests that the answer may be a 6-month timeline.
Implicit in the code, by allowing a taxpayer to sue for a refund after 6 months, that the necessary conclusion is that the government has an obligation to pay that, probably within the 6 months. Now, whether that 6 months occurs this year or sometime in the future, and we give the government some room to transition into a time period where that happens. That's really, the subject of our discussion with the defendants.
The injunction is also likely to include an order to set aside funds for refunds on a regular basis. Of course, there's already a law in place requiring just that, but Agaghi said this time it would be enforceable by a federal court.
It becomes an order of the court that we can go in and enforce. That's kind of the beauty of the lawsuit, is that we have a court order. When there's non-compliance with that order, of course, the parties are subject to the court's, contempt.
In addition, Agaghi expects the injunction will also correct the haphazard way in which refunds have been dispersed to those claiming hardship in the past.
People with urgent medical circumstances did not receive their tax refunds, and yet those with other, perhaps, less compelling circumstances received their refunds quickly.
So this order should correct that as well?
Yes, and there's also the possibility that if there is a need for such a system, that there's got to be some specific guidelines in place on how people can apply.
Agaghi is sympathetic to the impact the court's order will have on the ongoing budget process, but in the long run, he says, it will be good for everyone on Guam.
Officials are going to be forced to be realistic about what the government can do and what it can't do.
Kevin Kerrigan, PNC News.